Hey, this is JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. Please hit like. Hit that little thumb up for me. Here we have the ladies Tudor Oyster Princess watch. It's a very small watch movement. I said I'd never do another ladies watch movement, and here it is. A gentleman out of Edmonton asked me to do this for a friend of his, and she was really looking at getting this watch movement running again. So probably shouldn't have touched that rotor with my screwdriver, but there we go. Bad boy. Normally I would just use my Rotico. So here I'm just removing the rotor and getting it prepped. So in this process I need to remove the rotor from this watch, and it's a full 360-degree rotor. And I need to remove the rotor mechanism as well. And that'll give me access to removal of the watch without damaging anything. So it's recommended that you remove the rotor first before you try to remove any of the gear trains for these watches. So this is a watch where I adjusted the bent hairspring and got it running fairly good. And I had about a 360-degree swing on it, I'd say, and half of that is the amplitude. And I thought I probably could do better, and I sourced another hairspring and rotor, hairspring and balance for this watch. And so in this video, I'm actually going to replace the current hairspring and balance with the new hairspring and balance. So I'll just enjoy the process as we go along. Now, this watch was a real bugger. It probably took me 8 hours to straighten that hairspring out, the original hairspring, with the attempt of recovering that hairspring. And finally I just decided, why don't I get a new one here, a new balance. And there's the new balance. It's in perfect shape, and obviously it'll perform much better than the existing balance and hairspring. And you'll see a little later I did have the same problem I had with the old one, where the hairspring, once I put the balance in, the hairspring was not flat, so I still had to use my screwdriver to adjust it at 180 degrees from where the hairspring was pushed upward or domed upward or coned upward. So here I'm removing the automatic rotor winding mechanism. Pretty cool designs for these gears, and you gotta think the engineers had a great time designing these rotors to be able to wind a watch while the rotor spun in either direction. I think Seiko were one of the first ones who actually developed the automatic rotor, Seiko Corporation, but you can correct me if I'm wrong here. So here I'm thinking, okay, we're going to have to take this out and put this into the Myers number 58 movement holder, and I want to set the hands up so they don't interfere with the grips on the Myers number 58 movement holder. So I put the hands at 12 o'clock because I'm going to put the movement in so the hands are not touching the actual grips there on the movement holder, whatever they're called. So here I'm just taking out the tabs that hold the movement in place, and there's a ring as well that's in there. It's good use of Rotico to just grab those things and put them out of the way. So just put that stuff aside, and then I'm able to grab that ring and then take it out and then dump the watch. The watch probably could have been dumped like that, tap it down and let it dump, but it didn't want to. It was being nasty on me, so I decided to play with the ring a bit to see if I could get that loosened up a bit and get that out, and I did, no problem. Now it dumped without an issue. So here I'm going to take the balance out to be able to remove the balance cock and the balance, and the hairspring of course is still attached, and I'm using the Bergeron stick to stabilize that as I just take this screw out. I'm not sure what the balance will do, whether it'll pop out or what. The stick holds it down in position, so you don't have the situation where the balance cock falls out and the balance is still in place and you stretch the hairspring. That is not something you want to do. That'll ruin the watch, ruin the hairspring. In this case I'm replacing it anyway, so in this case I've decided I just grab the whole unit with my tweezers and pull it out as a single unit. It's one way of doing it. I'm not sure if I can actually put it back in this way, maybe, but I didn't do that. It's a little trickier doing it the way I did it. So here I'm taking the regulator pins and just turning them straight again, so I can get the hairspring to drop out of where it is between the regulator pins. So I want to make sure that is straight, so I can drop that straight out and there's no issue. So here I'm just working my way into removing the stud here from the balance cock, and I've got the stud removed now, and I'm just going to take the screw out from the balance cock here, and then I'm going to just pull the balance cock straight up, as it's no longer being attached to the hairspring at all. So it's a fairly safe way of doing it. And then I'm going to remove the balance, and it's I'm not sure why I'm so careful, because I'm not going to use this again, but I am careful. So there we go. So that's the balance with the hairspring that I had fixed, and I put that aside and save that for a later date. And there it is compared to the old one. You can see the arms and the balance are slightly different. Here I was considering putting the new balance and hairspring in place, and then putting the balance cock on top, and then pushing this stud into the retaining grip for the new balance cock. And I thought, okay, this is a great plan. And then I decided, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to attach the balance to the balance cock the traditional way I do it in pocket watches. So in order to do that, I need to put a bit of power on the watch here. So I put the stem back in the watch. So there's the watch stem. I tried to push that down with tweezers. I said, okay, that's not going to work. I think I need a number 3 screwdriver, number 4 screwdriver if you go from small up. So found a screwdriver where I'm able to just push that little button in, and I'm able to push the stem back in, lock it in, so I can actually just wind that watch. It was a bit tricky because the stem on these things are twisted, and I think it's a European thing from a long time ago, because I worked on another watch where the stem was twisted as well and thought it was broken, but no, it was simply a twisted stem. So here I'm just putting the mouth of the pallet fork on the correct side so that it can accept the impulse jewel as I install it on the watch. I was trying to decide, do I do it clockwise or counterclockwise? I change my mind with this all the time. So this is the reason I don't like doing ladies' watches. I go to put those balances in, they're so friggin' small. I'm worried about the balance cock falling. They never seem to be able to find home. And after I did all that work, very frustrating, I've got this at 4 times speed right now. I found out that it was out of adjustment, meaning the impulse jewel was on the wrong side. So I was like, all right, this is pissing me off. So I did end up getting it in the right way, but I was checking out the hairspring there, the flatness of the hairspring. And here we go. A little bit of focus is needed, but I got the watch running, and I got it running exceptionally well. So it ended up with an amplitude of 265, I think. And I'm just holding it with the stem here, or the crown and stem, and showing you how it's running. I did have to adjust that hairspring because it wasn't flat when I installed it. It coned up towards the balance cock, the base of the balance cock. It coned up on the left-hand side as you're looking at it now, so it would be rubbing against the balance cock, and I had to fix that by twisting it. So here it is here. I did have a problem with that hand. The minute hand was bent up just a bit, interfering with the seconds hand, and I had to adjust that again. But here I've just I'm casing it and getting it ready for test. And once I get the movement into the case here, I put the retaining ring down, and the clips, there's 2 clips on either side to hold that down. After I've adjusted the retaining ring, I get that in place and put the stem back in. And you have to press that little button down again to get the stem in. You take it out of the watch in the setting position, which is all the way out. And so I've got this set now, and I'm all ready to go. And there's a slow motion video of the balance, so you can see how well that's running. If you put a dot on that, you'd see that it's got a very good amplitude and it's ready to rock and roll. So did a good job. So the new balance and hairspring with the slight adjustment worked quite well. Again, adjusting that hairspring, I had to go close to where the regulator pins were and take my tweezers and just sort of squeeze the hairspring a bit to twist it so that 180 degrees away from that position it would go down, so it wouldn't be hitting the balance cock. So here I'm putting the retaining rings in. That was a bit of a pain. So here we've got, I had to shim the balance. As I tightened that screw down, it squeezed it, and there's no way I could adjust that too small, so I shimmed the balance. And then after I shimmed the balance, I got out my razor blade, and you just tuck a piece of watchmaker's paper underneath the balance, and I took the razor blade and I'm able to just trim away the leftovers of that watch paper and make it look really good. So there's no issue after I've trimmed it with the razor blade. The balance is shimmed. So now I've got the rotor mechanism to put back in, or the rotor to put in. So I've got the screws for the rotor mechanism, the winding mechanism, and I'm just tightening that plate down. It's got all the gears in it. So all that got cleaned from before with an amazing cleaning job I did. Amazing! So here's the rotor, and I want to put it on this side to keep it away from that balance that's working. And then tighten down the screw on the rotor, make sure it's snug. Sometimes you can put Loctite on there to make sure it's in place really good, but it shouldn't go anywhere with what I'd done there. So there we go, the rotor is running and ready to rock and roll. So nothing special going on here. The watch is running well. I just used the Rodico to spin the rotor around, make sure it is winding the watch, which is what you want. And then after that, I just spray it with some air and get it ready for casing it, finalizing the casing, I guess. And now it's running very well. Put the case back on. I had already changed the seal on that watch. I found a perfect size seal for that watch from before. So I put the case back on the watch there, and I'm just putting it on temporarily because I'm going to put it in my time grapher and adjust the beat error and adjust the actual time of it. So I decided I'd set it to the time it was and see if everything's fine with the setting mechanism. And there's the date being set, which works nicely. And then pull it out just a bit more, and I can set the hours and minutes on the watch. There we go. It's funny, it tends to stop when you're doing that, but even though I don't believe it's a hacking movement, it tends to hack. So and I pushed it back in there, and I just moved it a bit to get it going again. So it's an old watch, and I'm not sure what was going on there, but there we go. When I was playing with it, and it was decided to stop. Anyway, it's running exceptionally well right now. And there we go, wind it up. And I've got the tried to find the lift angle on this thing. I left it at 52. It may be 50, I'm not sure, but it's close enough for government work, as they say. So there's the result, -3 seconds per day, an amplitude of 261, and the beat error of 0.3. So that's pretty friggin' good, I'd say. So successful. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this little quick video.